Ladies and gentlemen, I was being facetious. There was some sarcasm. And, of course, it was pure satire, the segment prior to this one. Hit subscribe because a lot of people, about 10 or 15 or so, have unsubscribed. So, I mean, it's like, baby, come back. I was such a fool to pretend that Trump was indicted. But that segment was purely satire. I'm not going to quit my day job and become a singer. I know that was horrible. But ladies and gentlemen, the segment prior was just pure comedy. Most people enjoyed it, but people take it seriously or just, I guess, they don't like hearing the inner workings of a morally superior Democratic voter's mind. But anyway, CBS News, okay? I'm being serious now. A serious H.A. Badman. Serious. GOP probe of Hunter's business dealings turn to president's brother James. James B, we'll call him, okay? President Mashed Potato Brains and his brother and son had 150. Well, let's just, according to Democrats and media, well, you can't pin Joe. It was just James and Hunter. CBS News has also learned more than 150 financial transactions involving either Hunter or James. Global business affairs were deemed as concerning by U.S. banks for further review. If any person, okay, has even one or two transactions in a bank, that's a huge deal. That's a huge problem, okay? A huge problem. A huge problem. And so you have some of those concerns included large wire transfers. Such banking reviews could point to deeper problems or they could prove innocuous. No, 150 financial transactions that are deemed as concerning from large wire transfers to other transactions are not deemed innocuous. They will not be deemed innocuous, especially when you have how can you use your influence on behalf of the company? You have emails that the New York Post broke that were silenced and suppressed on Twitter, which is a digital cyber extension of the Democratic Party. Twitter, Facebook, they're run by liberal Democrats who will simply not allow any discussion of any disparaging or any corruption within their political party. They just won't allow it. It's always the fault of Vladimir or some unknown, horrible foreign entity. It's never that their corruption needs to be talked about or their criminal activity, or it's just you get intel officials like Clapper and others who lied through their teeth yet again, saying that it was Moscow's attempt to let you know that Hunter had emails showing clear schemes to enrich himself using his family name. The Trump children did not do that. They never did that. They never had emails showing that they were making money from the Trump name in the White House. Lord knows he only got negative publicity, so Trump lost money. Trump lost money. He took a pay cut to become president. Okay, our current president, the Clintons, Democrats, what they do, it's Tammany Hall. You could read about Tammany Hall. It's a modern day Tammany Hall. Through networking, they, they get to these speaking engagements in banks, for example, big investment banks. Bill Clinton had one. Oh, don't bring my name into this. Bill Clinton had one, and you guessed it, where a very large bank in a country right now that's invading. I'm not even getting into it, okay? You could look at the Uranium One deal. You could see it was a Moscow investment bank that paid Bill Clinton for a speaking engagement. These are all facts. But again, you can't talk about any of these things. And why is that poor country getting invaded while our beloved president, Mashed Potato Brains, is in office? Why are all these bad things happening when the adults are in charge? Gee, I wonder why. Maybe it's because Twitter, Facebook, social media algorithms, media, the Washington Post, the New York Times will not look at criminal activity or corruption. So if you have 150 financial transactions, okay, and you're linked, and Hunter and James, the brother and the son of our current president, are linked to endless financial transactions, business deals that with foreign, like, billionaires, corporations, an oil and gas company in Ukraine, that then Vice President Joe said, oh, you know what, you're not going to get $1 billion in loan guarantees unless you force out a prosecutor. And then they said, actually, to him, oh, you don't have that right. And then he said, go call President Obama. So you can't, the rebuttal from people defending him is oh, well, it was widely known that the prosecutor was corrupt and everybody wanted him out. Well, then why did the Ukrainians actually say, hey, you don't have that right? You can go watch it. You can go watch that tape of him bragging and boasting. Then they impeached Trump for doing exactly what he did, except President Zelensky stated that Trump did not pressure him. Anyway, you have this CBS probe, GOP probe, CBS News report, GOP probe of Hunter's business dealings turned to President's brother James. You have Hunter received retainers of $165,000 to $100,000, and $65,000 monthly retainers of $65,000 to James, and around $100,000 to $165,000 to Hunter. Okay. This is from a Chinese finance consulting group in 2018. So you have to ask yourself, why are these people related to Joe making $100,000 or $65,000 or $165,000 a month? It's not because of their expertise in finance or business, because Hunter is now an artist. The emails that the New York Post broke, the New York Post, if I said the New York Times by accident earlier on, I was wrong. The New York Post broke the account, broke the story, and we were not allowed to talk about it because it was detrimental to the Democratic Party. These are the same people who talk about democracy. Oh my God, our republic, our constitution. Oh, Trump is so horrible. It's like, well, that's why I do those satirical, comedy routines. I mean, it just flies over the head of people, but it's like, I enjoy them. You'll get one about 11:30 or 12 p.m. tonight. So be here definitely around 11 p.m. tonight. And of course, I'll have a segment in a couple of hours also. But ladies and gentlemen, you have to ask yourself, 150 transactions were deemed as concerning by U.S. banks for further review. If there was just one transaction or two transactions, you couldn't even get a loan. You wouldn't even be able to get like a home loan, or a reverse mortgage, or a home equity loan, or a personal loan, or anything from a bank. If you had one transaction that was deemed concerning, if you had one or two, not 150, and this goes, look, there's a Politico story that Hunter lost his 38. His girlfriend threw his 38 in a dumpster outside of a school, and then the Secret Service allegedly got involved. And then they talk about privilege and supremacy. And Democrats, it's a smokescreen. They engage in the most privileged, the most manipulative, using their privilege, using their political power and influence. They engage in the most despicable criminal behavior, and they get away with it. And they don't build businesses or real estate companies or buy land, or, well, that was Whitewater. When they do, it never works out. But they don't actually have TV shows like The Apprentice. They don't they never built a brand like Trump. People say, "Oh, Trump in the USFL." Well, at least he was in business. He didn't make his money through networking and speeches and political donations, and he didn't make his money through graft and bribery. He made his money for 30 plus years. He was in movies, videos, songs. He was part of Americana. And everyone in Hollywood who claims to oppose him now would have embraced his rear end, kissed his rear end in a second. He made his money through business. He lived the American dream. Well, he was wealthy when his father was wealthy, but you know what? A lot of wealthy people lose their wealth. He made even more money. So he was a great businessman. And was he perfect? No. He went bankrupt. So what? You can build yourself up after bankruptcy. That's great. That's what you should do. But it's like, He made his money through media, real estate, casinos, other things. He didn't make his money through connections, trading his family name, telling others, hey, we're going to help you out here and there. And then they say, well, you can't look at any foreign policy decision. The entire Trump-Russia fiasco could have been very easily linked to their compromised emails, both within, you can look at the DNC, the DNC emails they blamed on, of course, on Russia, but you can look at U.S. foreign policy and definitely make certain links between Hunter's business dealings, Joe's decision-making as vice president and also as president now, and all of these really bizarre financial transactions and the emails on Hunter's laptop. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, because they say, well, you can't prove that they engaged in any activity during with the foundation. Everybody who gave to Clinton's wonderful foundation received beneficial treatment in some manner. You can look at you can read the book Clinton Cash, but it's like well documented. It's well documented. The New York Times actually did a segment on, wrote a piece on the Uranium One deal. The people who gave money were eventually rewarded with a deal that gave Putin 20% of U.S. uranium capacity at that point. Okay, that's a fact that even the New York Times wrote about. Okay, so people do get hooked up. That's why they give money. Why, even if the rebuttal is they were not hooked up, you have no clue, they were not given any preferential treatment, then why were they giving money to Hunter and James? Answer that question, morally superior, wonderful liberal Democrats. Why were they giving money? Because Hunter and James had the same last name as Joe, and Joe was in government and vice president, not just in government. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe.